The hospital hallway was unusually quiet. Just after midnight, the bustle of doctors, visitors, and daytime nurses had faded into a peaceful silence. The fluorescent lights cast long reflections across the polished floors, while rain tapped steadily against the windows overlooking the sleeping city. Inside room 418, 26-year-old Isabella Rossi sat alone on the edge of her hospital bed. A small overnight bag rested beside her. Inside it were 2 changes of clothes, a toothbrush, $38 in cash, and a faded photograph of her late mother. Everything she owned seemed to fit inside that single bag. Only hours earlier, Isabella had been rushed into emergency surgery after collapsing at work from a ruptured appendix. The operation had gone well, and the doctors assured her she would recover completely with a few weeks of rest. Physically, she was safe. Emotionally, she had never felt more alone. She glanced toward the door for what felt like the 100th time. No footsteps, no familiar face, no one came. Her fiancé, Eric, had kissed her forehead before the surgery. "I'll be here when you wake up," he promised. She believed him. Now nearly 4 hours had passed. His phone went straight to voicemail. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. A night nurse entered carrying medication. "How are we feeling?" Isabella managed a weak smile. "A little sore. That's normal." The nurse adjusted the IV line before glancing toward the empty visitor's chair. "No family tonight." Isabella hesitated. "I don't think so." The nurse's expression softened. "I'm sorry." She handed Isabella a cup of water. "If you need anything, just press the call button." "Thank you." When the nurse left, the room somehow felt even emptier. Rain continued tapping against the glass. The heart monitor beeped steadily beside her bed. Isabella reached for her phone. 5 missed calls, all from collection agencies demanding payment for old medical bills. No missed calls from Eric. No messages from friends. She stared at the blank screen. Then suddenly it lit up. A new text message. Her heart lifted. "Eric." She opened it immediately. The message contained only one sentence. "I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. Please don't contact me again." Nothing else. No explanation. No apology. No goodbye. Just 12 words ending 3 years together. Isabella felt the phone slip from her hand onto the blanket. Tears silently rolled down her face. She remembered shopping for engagement rings, planning a wedding, talking about children. Every dream vanished with one text message. For several minutes, she simply cried. Eventually she wiped her eyes and reached into her purse for a tissue. Instead, her fingers brushed against a small folded piece of paper. She paused. It was old, very old. The edges had become soft after years inside her wallet. Immediately, a memory returned. She was 12 years old. Her mother, Elena, lay weak in a hospital bed during the final weeks of her illness. She had quietly placed the folded paper into Isabella's hand. "If you ever find yourself completely alone," Elena whispered, "call this number." Young Isabella frowned. "Whose number is it?" "A man who once owed me his life." "What does he do?" Her mother smiled gently. "You don't need to know." "Will he really help me?" Elena looked into her daughter's eyes. "If he answers." She squeezed Isabella's hand. "He'll come." Her mother never explained further. A few weeks later, she passed away. Isabella had carried the paper ever since, never believing she would actually use it. She slowly unfolded it. The ink had faded over the years. Only one thing remained perfectly readable. A phone number. No name. No address. No explanation. She stared at it. "This is ridiculous," she whispered. "Who keeps a promise for almost 20 years? Still, she had no one else. Her hands trembled as she entered the number. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. She expected voicemail. Instead, a calm, deep voice answered immediately. "Who gave you this number?" The unexpected question caught her off guard. "I'm sorry." The man repeated himself. "Who gave you this number?" "My mother." Silence. "What was her name?" "Elena Rossi." For several seconds, the line remained completely quiet. Then the stranger spoke again. His voice had changed. It sounded almost emotional. "How old are you?" 26. "Where are you?" "St. Gabriel Hospital." "What floor?" "4th room, 418. Another pause. Finally, he spoke quietly. "Stay there." The call ended. Isabella stared at the phone. She wasn't even sure the conversation had really happened. Across the city, on the top floor of Moretti Tower, Adrian Moretti slowly lowered his phone. Around him sat 8 senior members of his criminal organization discussing shipping routes and international business operations. The room fell silent the moment they noticed his expression. One lieutenant cleared his throat. "Boss." Adrian didn't answer. Instead, he walked toward a locked cabinet and removed an old photograph. A much younger Adrian stood beside a smiling woman holding a little girl. Elena Rossi. 20 years earlier, when Adrian had been hunted by rival syndicates, Elena had hidden him in the basement of her family's bakery for 3 days, risking her own life without asking for anything in return. When he finally left, she requested only one promise. "If my daughter ever needs help." Adrian had interrupted her. "I'll protect her as if she were my own family." He had never forgotten those words. Slowly, he placed the photograph back inside the cabinet. Then he picked up his coat. "Cancel tonight's meeting." The room went silent. One lieutenant frowned. "But we're negotiating the eastern ports." "They can wait." Another looked confused. "Where are you going?" Adrian buttoned his jacket and walked toward the elevator. "To repay a debt." Outside, a convoy of black SUVs immediately started their engines as rain poured across the empty streets. Meanwhile, Isabella sat alone beside the hospital window, convinced she had called nothing more than a stranger with an old phone number. She had no idea that the man driving through the storm toward St. Gabriel Hospital was the most feared mafia boss in the city. And unlike everyone else in her life, he had every intention of keeping his promise.